Why'd you elbow me in the back, Kevin?
I know, I felt so bad.
Hey, Kevin, you got any guts? He's a bully with $17 million in a security detail. Things they were going to do to members of my family, and I couldn't even get Capitol Hill Police to respond to my phone calls about it. So it's a day-to-day occurrence. It happens on the left and the right. I'm conservative. I get those all the time. I've gotten them from elected officials, for goodness sakes. The FBI's had to step in. So it's a day-to-day thing. It's horrible.
They showed my wife and I they can touch me at any time, 2 times. And it was very disturbing.
David Grusch is a career intelligence official who this week is making some bombshell claims of a U.S. government cover-up going back nearly a century, shedding light, he says, on that existential question. Are we alone?
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
And was this documentary evidence, this video, photos, eyewitness? Like, how would that be determined?
The specific documentation I would have to talk to you in a skiff about.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
We were denied access to the skiff, and so to my knowledge, what's going to happen now is not only do we have the support of the chairman, but they're going to get a nice letter from Congress. And as you heard, Representative Ogle said, if we're denied, we're going to use the Holman rule and we'll defund the position.
And I was told by leadership that it was blocked by the intelligence community, not the intelligence committee, but the intelligence community. And that is a very chilling effect. If someone can reach through the veil of government and pierce it to the point of we do not have access to something, you got to start asking yourself, who the hell's in control?
You guys ever get the skiff? Did you ever get the...
Never did.
You never got the skiff. What's holding that up?
Well, I suspect somebody's got somebody's ear in leadership. And again, the Intelligence Committee / community, they didn't like what we did. They didn't like us.
Is that the committee in Congress or the Senate?
Well, there's one in both, but the Intelligence Committee in the House didn't want it. And, there's all these rivalries. It just happens. I mean, it's just human nature, dude. I don't, they're all my friends, but, we touched a nerve. We really did.
We asked questions about, do we think people lost their lives because of this knowledge? And the answer was in the affirmative. We were denied access to a skiff so we could get this information. Once again, another roadblock put up by both parties, by leadership, by the so-called intelligence community, as I like to say, the war pigs over at, or the war pimps, over at the Pentagon. And, it's just a continuation of that fact. And we'll vote to have them, I'm sure, more billions of dollars unchecked, and they will continue thumbing their nose at the American public. Representative Luna, myself, and Representative Gates were denied access down at Eglin Air Force Base. We were told we were going to get this, and we were turned away. I mean, this is your military telling your elected officials what to do. These are bureaucrats that literally have driven a 4-legged mahogany around, and they're telling us what to do. You talked about it last night in some of your commentary, and it's, again, this is very offensive to me. It's offensive to the American public, and we need some answers.
We've requested documents. We've gone to interview pilots and been stonewalled by our Pentagon. It's ridiculous. It's been going on since the 40s, and it continues to go on because, I proposed a piece of legislation on this past week, and it was killed. It basically just said if an airline pilot had seen a UFO or something unidentified, that report would basically be sent to Congress, and they blocked it. I was told the intelligence community blocked it, whoever the heck they are. And if they don't exist, then why the cover up? I mean, you're seeing the famous Tic Tac videos right there, and you heard from the pilot that we hope will be testifying before our committee. So it's we're taking the gloves off. This is ridiculous. The American public deserves to know, and there's no reason that our federal government tries to hide these things from us.
So what's happening in the House, from what I'm told from people on the Hill that are working the issue right now, you have the chair of the House Intel Committee, Mike Turner, who's blocking this, from Ohio, Dayton, Ohio area, right, Pat? Weird.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right, Pat, meaning Wright-Patterson Air
yes,
Force.
yeah. And Mike Rogers, which I'm kind of surprised, from Alabama, who's the chair of the House Armed Services Committee. So I have a problem with Mike and Mike right now. So Mike Turner, now remember, I went to his committee in December of last year. He wasn't there, but his staff and lawyers were. And of course, he goes on Fox Business after the hearing, doesn't use my names like this whistleblower. He has no idea what he's talking about.
You know, Maria, I always love it when you have somebody who comes forward and testifies about things that they don't know anything about. I mean, the most, I think, striking aspect of all of the testimony was repeatedly over and over again, the whistleblowers had to say, actually, I don't have any knowledge of this. Somebody else told me that. I mean, really, this would take thousands and thousands of people for such an unbelievable cover-up to be occurring, and for people to speak with such confidence over something that they do not know is, I think, something certainly everybody needs to be concerned about.
I'm like, really? Tell me, Mike. Have you ever been an intel officer or served in the military? Oh, wait, you've been the mayor of Dayton, Ohio. You were voted most corrupt person in Congress a couple years ago, and pull up his PAC donors. Who are his biggest donors? Lockheed, Raytheon, Boeing. Okay, so, and first of all, if you thought you needed more information or wanted to talk to me personally, why didn't you call me back when I reported to your committee? So, and furthermore, besides blocking the bill, I'm sure you're familiar with like Representative Tim Burchett of Alabama, and he's been very outspoken on the issue. And we may not agree with everything Tim says about conventional stuff. That's, here nor there. But, he's been a champion on the Oversight Committee. And he was, one of the members that I testified in public under oath regarding this. So and Mike Turner is looking to fund, according to staffers I've talked to last 2 weeks, an opposition candidate for Tim's reelection in 2024. So why is Mike Turner going out of his way to destroy the career of a courageous Tennessee representative on the Oversight Committee? And why are you blocking a bill? And it's not going to cost much, a couple million a year max, for the panel, which is like vaporware in U.S. government speak, right? If there's nothing to see here, why are Mike Rogers and Mike Turner in the House blocking this bill that is, in my opinion, the most important legislation for transparency in American history?
You expressed some concerns that maybe this will be used against you in your next election. Has that already been raised? Is somebody in your district running against you on UAPs?
Well, oddly enough, a member of Congress, a chairman, apparently has been calling around the district, a very powerful chairman who has a lot of friends at the Pentagon and then those departments, has been calling around trying to get me opposition. And, and then the money follows, of course, the big boys, and that's how they do. And then they'll have attack. It follows it. I've been in this thing my whole life. But, then they'll start nitpicking little things, and you'll see articles and news stories, well-placed news stories. It's got their fingerprints all over it, and that's what they'll do. Yeah, and I've actually had conversations with, I guess, former supporters who are well-heeled and have brought up the UFO issue with me as they told me they weren't going to be helping me anymore. So yeah, it's a real deal. I mean, I knew it going in, but they just trying to compound it now. And politics is a funny game. It's a year away, I guess the elections are, and that's 100 lifetimes. So who knows what'll happen between now and then. But yeah, it's a real concern for me and my family. Just that, but it's not like I'm going to back off on it either. So it just kind of ticks me off, makes me want to dig. It means that we're closer than maybe we give ourselves credit for.
Those guys who keep the secrets have a lot of power on Capitol Hill, do they not?
They do. They do. And that's why you see people walk into here making $170,000. They walk out of here worth $10 or $15 million. There's, the insider trading thing, knowing when certain battles or certain conflicts are getting ready to start, and what type of conflict that'll be, so you can invest in that sort of technology. And yeah, it's big power. It's not hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's millions, if not billions of dollars of influence. And they can, $1 million in a race like mine is a huge thing. And that's what they do. And that's how they stay in power. And that's why we got to keep fighting. I mean, man, we got to keep fighting. That just makes me madder and madder. Want to fight more, actually. And I think it'd be wise for you all to start looking at some financial disclosures of some of those corporations, some of the people who do the stonewalling in this town.
Kevin McCarthy is a feature of the swamp. He has risen to power by collecting special interest money and redistributing that money in exchange for favors. We are breaking the fever now, and we should elect a speaker who's better.
Look, I think Matt has planned this all along. It didn't matter what we transpired. He would have done it if we were in shutdown or not.
That's what we're going to start doing. We're going to start talking to people. We're going to start naming names.
Congress edges closer to finding out if crash retrievals have happened, if reverse engineering special access programs are real. Would you expect major pushback from the Pentagon? I mean, they clearly have kept this a secret a long time. Contractors, they have a lot of influence on Capitol Hill. Are they coming after people like you? Are they trying to thwart the committee from getting into the bottom of this?
I feel 100% they are. I feel that there's people in Congress that have been compromised, and I know I'm going to get called on the carpet for this and say who and how do you know this, but why do good people vote for crappy stuff and all of a sudden they just have a change of heart? I'll tell you how. They've been compromised. You're in some foreign country or at the bar, and then some attractive person comes up to you and giggling at your jokes and telling you how smart you are. Next thing you know, you're in bed with them in a motel room. And then, lo and behold, a week later, somebody says, hey, somebody whispers in your ear, I got footage of you with some little young thing here in the, at this time. And I said, I need your help on this thing. And yeah, I think people are compromised. I think staff are compromised. I think, and this is $1 billion situation. If whoever has this information and this technology is leading the, as my daddy used to say, is in the catbird seat.
What's
that?
Wanted to check in on the conference, how it went. It sounds like it went back and forth.
Yeah, I think it went all right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kevin, didn't mean to elbow. Why'd you elbow me in the back, Kevin?
I know, I felt so bad.
Hey, Kevin, you got any guts? Jerk.
Has he done that before?
No.
Huh. That's a new
I'm going to
move.
talk to him.
Hey, Kevin, why'd you walk by me and elbow me in the back? You got no guts. You did so. They sat there and the reporter said it right there. What kind of chicken move is that? You're pathetic, man. You are so pathetic.
What a jerk. You need security, Kevin. Anyway.
Explain to us what happened with you and Kevin McCarthy.
Well, I was doing an interview with Claudia from NPR, a lovely lady, and when she was asking me a question, and at that time I got elbowed in the back, and it kind of caught me off guard because it was a clean shot to the kidneys, and I turned back, and there was Kevin, and I for a minute I was kind of, what the heck just happened? And then I chased after him. Of course, as I've stated many times, he's a bully with $17 million in a security detail. He's the type of guy that when you're a kid would throw a rock over the fence and run home and hide behind his mama's skirt. And he just, he from behind, that kind of stuff. That's not the way we handle things in East Tennessee. If we have a problem with somebody, I'm going to look them in the eye and talk to them.
Okay.
Well, it happens every day. I could show you that, and where the people have made horrible accusations and things they were going to do to members of my family, and I couldn't even get Capitol Hill Police to respond to my phone calls about it. So it's a day-to-day occurrence. It happens on the left and the right. I'm conservative. I get those all the time. I've gotten them from elected officials, for goodness sakes. The FBI has had to step in. So it's a day-to-day thing. It's horrible. Jim denounced it. Right. You just have sick people in this world, and they're horrible. And they need to have their butts kicked, and they need to be thrown in jail. So, I don't stand for any of that nonsense. That jerk is just here's those type of guys. They throw a rock over the fence, and they run home behind their mama's skirt. And that's exactly who that dirtbag is. And he ought to be pulled in jail, and he ought to spend some quality time there and understand his consequences.
What happened to me personally was very disturbing. So I have to be very vague about this because ongoing investigation, but I think you'll understand what I'm saying, is they showed my wife and I they can touch me at any time, 2 times. And it was very disturbing. It was in conjunction with some other people getting a message like that are, let's say, publicly well-known, some that aren't publicly well-known. And of course, I immediately reported that to, counterintelligence, federal law enforcement local to me, because it, wasn't criminal, but it was like a fuck you to me. And this was right before I filed my whistleblower complaint. Now, I don't know who did this, entity who did X, Y, and Z to my wife and I, identity unknown, but it fucking happens. And I, provided that documentation to a couple special agents, and I just knew that it was getting serious. And, first of all, I'm the kind of person, I'm from Pittsburgh, like Steel Town, I don't take shit from people. And I decided, fuck it, I'm going to file an inspector general complaint to protect myself. I'm in fear for my safety. My wife's an Air Force veteran too, and, very strong individual, but, as a man, you don't want to put your family at risk. And, did certain other measures, which I won't talk about, to protect myself, physically. And I could not believe that was happening to me. No kidding. And I knew I needed to do something internally. And then when I saw the writing on the wall earlier this year, and of course I knew about the Schumer Amendment, like I mentioned earlier, and I knew, I'm like, I got to do this for my own protection, because me leaving the federal service, because I resigned my Air Force commission. I totally threw that career away to do what I thought was the right and patriotic thing, to whistleblow on this, and I, swore my oath 18 years ago, and that sounds hokey, but I believe, integrity first, service before self, and excellence all we do. That's the Air Force motto.
Yeah, I want you to think about this. Think about this, that something with the capabilities of traveling light years, not showing a heat signature, and the energy capabilities of that would put the Pentagon out of business. We wouldn't be fighting these worthless wars overseas over oil, and American boys and girls wouldn't be dying. It would put the war pigs out of business, and they'd have to go somewhere else, and I'm all for that. I'm all for that.
All right, one more subject before we wrap this up. 0 point energy.
Right.
I love talking about this subject. What's your opinion on it?
I think it's reality. I just don't think we've got it. We got that genie in the bottle just yet, or if we do, they're not putting it out because it would put them all out of business. And we wouldn't have these wars. Imagine all that energy we spend on the energy. I mean, not like energy as in
nuclear or anything like that, all that energy, brain width we spend on all this stuff and all these wars and all these people that die, we wouldn't need it. We wouldn't need it. Imagine if this world just united behind something. I don't think they ever will, but if it limited what we would be fighting for.
Let me backtrack just real quick for the audience. So 0 point energy is basically technology that enables energy to be free. That means no more utilities, no more fossil fuels, no more any of that stuff. Everything is just powered by energy that is free. And supposedly Nikola Tesla figured this out a long time ago.
Yeah.
And
look what happened to him.
Yep. They confiscated all of his research.
Died alone in a motel room. Broken.
Guy that invented the hydrocar, mysteriously dead.
Yep. In a knife fight, like at his farm.
Yep.
Yep.